Welcome, welcome, welcome to yet another edition of Red Carpet and Trailer Trash. My name is Ian Collins. I will be your host, and joining me as always is Mr. Connor Rock.
Hello, that's me. That's all I got.
Well, I was hoping that section would last a little longer, but here we are.
All right, fine. How's your week going, Ian? We'll do that again. We haven't done that since like episode 2.
Yep. Well, I went to Morgantown over the weekend, and my body was sore this morning when I woke up.
Did you break your knees again?
I did not. I did not sprain my knee this time, so that's good. That is generally to put it in perspective, I was in the city limits of Morgantown from about 8 p.m. on Friday until like 11:30 on Sunday. And if I'm doing some quick math, I think I drank for a grand total of 24 of those 36 hours.
That's what you need. That's a good 2/3 ratio.
Yep, and I slept for 14 of them, so I believe that means there were...
Wait.
No, it would have been 12. I slept for about 12
Yeah.
of them. Because I didn't...
were you drinking in your sleep?
I didn't drink on Sunday morning. And so the only time I spent not drinking while awake on Friday or Saturday was the hour and a half before we went to the tailgates between when I woke up and when we left.
I mean, that sounds like a good weekend. It sounds like a pretty typical Morgantown. I guess this is probably a time to explain that we are both WVU alum. That's actually how we met back, not as alum, but in college. But the last time we went back to our season opener 2019, and Ian broke his knees.
It was only
not broke. It was
only a sprained MCL.
Yeah, so that happened, and I just remember we're at the tailgates, and you're just like hobbling around with a backpack full of beer.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
legitimately looked like Igor from Young Frankenstein.
You did, it's true. All right, but anyway, I'm glad to hear you survived a weekend in Morgantown.
So am I. Or, disappointed. Haven't really decided yet. But, yeah, so once again, this is Red Carpet's Trailer Trash, where we take a look back at a movie from this past weekend, and then we'll look forward at some of the movies coming out this upcoming weekend. Today, we're going to be looking at The Addams Family, which came out last weekend, and we'll also be looking forward to Maleficent, Zombieland, and Jojo Rabbit.
Oh man, you just signed us up for it. I thought we were going to see if we got to Jojo Rabbit.
Well, now we will just see if we get to Jojo Rabbit. I was trying to hold us to it, but now you've just put in that little maybe.
A little bit of wiggle room. Yeah. I mean, it's alright. I can cut all this out in post anyway. Who knows what we even talk about? That's the magic of editing, kids.
If we do talk about Jojo Rabbit, I want this entire section to stay in. I don't want you to...
Oh, well, don't worry.
I don't want you to delete a single second.
Mostly because I'm lazy when I edit these. The least amount of work is the best amount of work.
Uh-huh. I'm glad we're in agreement on that one.
That sums up the whole, our attitudes towards this podcast.
I think that sums up our attitudes towards life.
Life in general, yeah.
Ugh.
Right,
and
well,
on the note of not really giving a shit, let's talk about the Addams Family.
Tell me about the Addams Family. You did the legwork. You went to see it. How was it?
It was better than I expected, but that's mostly due to the fact that I thought it was going to be utter garbage.
I feel like you said that same thing about Hustlers. So where are we on that? How do those two compare?
Hustlers is a significantly better movie than The Addams Family.
Whoa. Okay. I mean, I guess that's not that surprising, seeing as we both kind of thought that this was like a weird middle ground of a movie, towing the line between children's film and nostalgia.
Yeah.
So,
well,
is that where it landed? I mean,
yes, it kind of missed. It had all of the traditional Addams Family jokes, where it's It's horrible. It's terrible. How excellent. Like they're just so happy with things.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense, but like it has its sort of charming appeal. But I think it was the 1991 was when the Addams movie came out, the live action, where
Yeah.
that one was significantly better than this movie was. And they did.
Well, yeah, that one's just a good movie.
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't great. It was a solid comedy.
Well, I might have like kid goggles on because I haven't seen it in my adult life.
No, it was a solid comedy. I mean,
Okay.
it was an above average comedy. It's not like The Hangover or Blazing Saddles or anything, but like it was a good movie.
All right, hold on. We're gonna take a detour here. I will die on the hill that The Hangover was not a funny movie. And then but everyone can have their own opinions, but then you're gonna put that up next to Blazing Saddles?
The Hangover is one of the top 5 or 10 funniest movies of the last 20 years.
Oh no, it's just a bunch of dumb jokes about bullshit
Yeah,
and just Ken Jeong's penis.
yeah.
I know. I hate it so much.
Why do you hate it so much?
I don't know. I did start this, and now I realize that I don't really want to articulate all the. I haven't seen it in a while, and I haven't given this spiel in like a few years because Hangover is what, like 10 years old now? A little more,
I think
maybe?
it's 11. I think
Oh.
it came out in 2008. I would like to articulate.
Yeah, so I haven't given
I
this-
would like to articulate why I think it's a very funny movie, and this is far more important than talking about that bullshit that I just watched called The Addams Family. The reason why I consider it to be one of the top 5's probably pushing it, top 10 funniest movies of the last 20 years. It's because it very perfectly creates the group for comedy because there's the just weird guy, like the person who behaves erratically and nonsensically and like acts out of touch and has that weird sense it creates the humor from doing things that shouldn't be done. Like you laugh at how out of place the behavior and the statements are in Zach Galifianakis' character Alan.
Yeah.
And then accentuating that behavior is what's his name? Dude from he was in Wedding Crashers, Brad something. Bradley Cooper, that's right.
There's Bradley Cooper, and then
Ed
is the other
Helms.
guy Ed
Yeah.
Helms. Yeah.
So Bradley Cooper sort of like finds him entertaining and so like goes along with him most of the time. And then you have the opposite reaction from Ed Helms, who absolutely hates Alan's character and just loses his shit every time Alan goes out and does all of the things, says all the things he shouldn't be doing. And so there's the humor that comes from the reactions, and then the encouragement that Bradley Cooper provides to Zach Galifianakis creates its own humor. And also just the concept of hijinks. I mean, that's why people found Road Trip to be funny. That's like drunken hijinks are just some of the most relatable situations, and all this did was take it up to a level that was
Just like
hyperbolic.
over the top
Yes.
Vegas style, yeah. Which I just distinctly remember everyone wouldn't shut up about it, and then I went to see it, and I was just like, I mean, yeah, it was a movie for sure.
The biggest concern I have with it is a lot of it comes from the humor of not expecting what's going to happen, and so a lot of it, it's not nearly as funny on the second time watching it as it is the first time watching it, in my opinion. You may disagree because you don't seem to have enjoyed it very much the first time you watched it.
No, I just didn't get it, and maybe that was also because like, to be fair, I've only seen it the one time. And maybe that's when I was like in like more of like my like an angsty teen hipster phase that was like, this is so popular I have to hate it.
When did you leave that
But
phase?
Shut the fuck up. And never. I'll let you know when I do. But yeah, so I don't know. Like maybe it was a little better than I thought, but I just distinctly remember being like, "This is the movie everyone wants." And then they came out with like two more of
Oh no,
them
the
that were
the
just
two
literally
others
rinse
were
and repeat
garbage.
bullshit.
The two sequels were trash.
Yeah, so maybe in its originality. So I don't know. Maybe I'll rewatch it with try to get some impartial, fresh lenses on, and we'll see. But I just that's one of my like the strongest opinions I've carried my whole life is that movie does not deserve to be in like the top comedy conversation.
I
And
mean,
everybody always puts
it's
it there.
definitely. I will admit that comparing it to Blazing Saddles is giving it too much credit, but
Oh yeah, I mean those were the podcast was almost disbanded right there.
Blazing Saddles is, I think, probably the funniest movie ever made.
Yeah, I mean definitely arguably top three, top five, but yeah, it's a good one.
But yeah, no, I think you should give Hangover another shot. But I mean, it's one of those things. Like it was just so different, and it was I could understand being sort of like getting it too hyped up because it would like a lot of people did find it a lot funnier than I did the first time I watched it, but I still thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. I will maybe one day I'll talk about it again. I'll watch it and I'll let you know what my opinions are. We'll do a second chance for The Hangover sometime. All right, so anyway, Addams
Oh
Family.
yeah, so the Addams Family. First and foremost, I think I mentioned this last week. I can't stand this animation style. It just seems
Yeah,
weird and kind of off-putting. And I realize that there are plenty of people that may enjoy it. I am not one of them.
I totally agree.
Probably one of the biggest wastes is that Gomez Adams character. Just I don't think I laughed at a single thing that Gomez Adams character said. Almost all of the humor came from the kids, Pugsley and Wednesday, which I mean
Okay.
makes sense because the storylines centered around them for the entire movie. Wednesday was the only reason that this wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Just because I think maybe with an exception or two, all of the times that I thought were the funniest in this movie were watching Wednesday's character interact with like normal town folk and
Okay.
just the threatening and strange manner that she behaved, and it was one of those things where I like the scene. I think it was in the trailer where she brought the frogs back to life in her biology class.
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention
That
that, but
was
yeah.
actually probably the funniest scene, even when I saw it
Oh,
even
really?
when I saw it coming, I like in the trailer. I still thought it. I still laughed out loud watching it happen on screen because it was such a
Uh,
ridiculous thing, and watching the different characters react to it, sort of. But then it's hard to talk about this because I want to treat it like I did say it was better than I expected, but that's because I went in with almost zero expectations. Like it hit all of the usual Addams Family expectations. It had this message about being accepting of people who are different from you. Yada yada yada. It's a kids movie.
yeah, I mean, if there's not a lot to say on it, there's not a lot to say. Like, it's an Addams Family movie. We don't have to
It went
hyper in. I mean, how?
almost exact. Like some of the things they did to take advantage of the fact that it's an animated version were nice. Like they used a lot more explosions and demolition stuff. They did some weird they broke out like the Whomping Willow sort of thing.
Wait, like the Harry Potter character Whomping
Like
Willow?
there was a tree that was a conscious being that
Oh yeah, that was in the
yeah
trailer. It like grabbed people out of bed and like woke them up or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
So like there were some interesting things that they did with it, but it wasn't like they lost their luster after the first 20 minutes or so. I wish there was more to say, but like I said, it's exactly how people would expect it to go with the Addams Family animated version. But there was one thing that I wanted to talk to you about.
yes,
Finn Wolfhard was in this movie.
yeah.
So this movie came out on October 11th.
Sure.
Since
Well, yeah, I guess so.
September 6th, he has been in 3 movies released in the last 6 weeks. He was in It Chapter
He's
2
using Goldfinch.
and Goldfinch and the
Yeah.
Addams Family. And back in July, he was in Stranger Things Season 3. Where the fuck does this kid have so much time to be able to do this? Like, I realized he wasn't the main, like, it was more of flashbacks for It Chapter 2, but still, you have to show up on the set for a couple of weeks to be able to shoot all of those scenes.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's taken on Dwayne Johnson. He's gonna dethrone him as like the most movies that don't make sense in time constraints.
Oh, don't you worry. Dwayne Johnson's going to be coming back soon, and he's going to be playing in Jumanji: The Next Level.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if...
I did. I saw that like trailer was like one of the things I watched today. They wanted me to watch the Jumanji trailer, and I was like, nope.
And the person... I'm not sure if you followed how the first remake of the Jumanji went. It replaced the board game with a video game.
Oh yeah. I got the basic like premise of it.
Do you know whose character turns into The Rock? Danny DeVito.
Wait, hold on. I thought they were like children in high school that found this old game.
They were, but one of the children's grandfather is Danny DeVito, and he gets sucked into the game.
I did not know that. I thought there were 4 kids in the trailers for the old one.
There were.
And
there were in this one too, but it's
Danny DeVito?
He like stumbled into it because there's a problem with the game. Him and then the guy who plays Murtaugh, I think his name's Danny Glover.
Donald Glover?
No, Danny Glover, the old one. Played Murtaugh.
Yeah. He's in
Yes.
it? Hold on. All right, another detour we're gonna take. So Jumanji, like the remake, there was Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Karen Gillan, and The Rock.
Yes.
And then there were 4 kids, but also Danny DeVito and
I didn't see the first
Danny
one,
Glover?
but they are in this upcoming Jumanji.
Okay, so maybe it like switches it up a little bit. Because I thought, wait, so Danny DeVito was in the first one?
I have no idea. Didn't watch it.
Okay. Okay. So the upcoming one, that would make sense. Maybe they switched it up for that one. But I was gonna say, I didn't see it either. So we could be totally wrong on this, and we should probably not waste time talking about a movie neither of us saw. But yeah, I didn't think Danny DeVito was in that, or at least, I didn't think he was one of the 4 main characters.
Oh, he definitely wasn't one of the 4 main characters, and he isn't in this either.
Oh, okay.
But like,
wait, I thought you said he becomes The Rock.
well, yes, but that just means that The Rock.
Is The Rock not one of the main characters?
Well, The Rock
in this
is
one?
basically what happens is The Rock starts acting with Danny DeVito's personality, is what the.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, I got it. That. All right, we'll just calm down. We'll take a reset here. That was a nice confusing moment.
Yeah, that was a bit rough. Probably can't possibly.
Hard to get through.
It can't possibly be worse than that movie's going to be, though.
I heard the first one wasn't that bad.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember where, so don't ask me about that. But I've heard it wasn't terrible.
So anyway.
All right, but anyway, yeah, let's get into some trailers. What do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about Maleficent. What did you think of Maleficent's sequel?
Okay, so right off the bat, I have a few questions. One is, like, does she have scales on her head, or does she wear like a really slim hat over her horns, or is the hat of horns as well?
I think that's just.
Like,
I think that's just her head.
That's just her head.
I believe so.
It's not like a beanie.
I believe
Okay.
so.
Because it looked like one thing like she's got the scales, but the other one like her hair's down. I guess maybe her hair's covering the scales in the other one, so that could make sense. Okay, well that cleared that up. Second thought is, I didn't see the first one, and I really didn't pay attention a lot to the first one. So I'm not really sure where the story is, but in this version, it looks like she raised Aurora instead of, because in the classic version, she curses her and then comes back and turns into like a pinwheel when she's 16 and makes her Sleeping Beauty.
Yep.
And it looks like there was a pinwheel in the trailer, and the Prince Philip, I think his name is, mentioned something about like almost losing Aurora 5 years ago. So I guess maybe that happened in the first one. Did you see the first
I
one?
did not, and frankly, I will never forgive it for starting this this trend of Disney live action movies.
Oh, was this the first? Did this come before Beauty and the Beast?
This came before all of them. Jungle Book came before Beauty and the Beast too.
I don't count Jungle Book
Why not?
because it's just a guy in green screens. The Lion King isn't live action either. I'll come fight me.
No,
You
it's
send
not.
Your
It
hate
is,
mail
it is
too.
not. You're right.
Yeah. So I didn't count Jungle Book. It's just that one. But anyway.
But it's still like the same.
Yeah, it's
sort
the same
of,
concept. You're right.
Yeah. And I think the first one was Maleficent, and the second one was The Jungle Book, and then the third was Beauty and the Beast, and now we've just gone all over the place.
Yeah, I really don't think I didn't see Aladdin.
It was fine. I don't know why they made it like half an hour longer.
They made it half an hour longer.
Yes.
What did
They did that to The Lion King also, but the difference is I don't know where they added that extra time in. And this was a point that was made on another podcast I listened to. It is almost shot for shot exactly like the original Lion King, but it's actually 2 hours long instead of 90 minutes, which
So
begs
just, like,
the question.
Slow parts of it down.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they might just add like banter in there that no one cares about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so it looks like the plot of this one: Prince Philip asks Aurora to marry her. And
Yep.
Maleficent, who is the mother for whatever reason, we don't know about that. We probably knew if we watched the first one, but you and we don't know about that.
Nope.
And she's not cool with it. And then the queen's like, they like go to like some nice dinner or whatever to like discuss it or whatever, because this is back when like you could just discuss if your daughter was getting married to people. And she's like, well, I'm glad that she'll have a real mother. And then she's like, Maleficent is like, no. And then spooky magic becomes winged demon, flies out the window.
Yeah, well, I mean, in her defense, the king and queen are both twats, so...
I mean, yeah, they did seem like that was a real dick move because she's clearly like raised this girl, which I don't know. I guess I'm just too confused about the plotline to really comment on it. I don't think it's gonna be necessarily a bad movie, but it seems like they're kind of reaching, and I could have said this last week about Gemini Man, and I'll say the same thing. Well, not the same thing, but I'll say it now. Is any trailer that kind of puts in like a cliffhanger at the end, I feel like they don't have a super solid story, like base story to go on.
Yeah, I don't know why this movie exists, and I say that almost entirely because there are plenty of other live action Disney movies they could be making. They're making The Little Mermaid right now.
But they don't have Angelina Jolie.
And I think that's actually the answer is because Angelina Jolie wanted to do this, or because the first one made a lot of money. It's probably that. This plot doesn't seem to make much sense to me. The purpose of what's going to happen, it seems very predictable that eventually they're going to realize that Prince Philip's family are just awful people, and then either Aurora will go back to Maleficent and Prince Philip might join her, or like things will work out. It seems like it's going to be very formulaic, and I just don't care about this movie in any way, shape, or form.
I agree. Like, I'll never see it. I don't really want to see it. It's just it doesn't appeal to me. It might be a fine movie. It might be a shit movie. I have no idea. But yeah, I agree with you. It looks predictable. Like, they're gonna do that, and then they piss her off at the dinner. She gets all mad, flies out the window. It looks like she invades with whatever, like a whole swarm of evil bullshit.
Winged dragon creatures or whatever the fuck they are.
Like ants or like tree, whatever, marching through the moat. And then she gets wounded and falls into the river, and then more of Maleficent's, whatever the hell they are, come and save her, and she realizes that there's more of her, and then that becomes like a tiny subplot, but in the end they're going to realize that, like you said, the noble family's shitty, and so yeah, I don't know. I think it's fair to say that it's predictable, and if we get it wrong, we'll probably never know. But I agree. I don't really have a whole lot more to say about this.
So on that note, we're going to move on to Zombieland Double Tap.
Yep.
So what do you have to say about this movie?
I'm excited, and I really like the first Zombieland. Its cast is just phenomenal. I mean, you can watch one of the trailers and see all the awards they've been nominated slash won for, or for slash one. But I really like Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson. I mean, Emma Stone's fine. Abigail Breslin, I like her too. Like I said, good cast. Really enjoyed the first Zombieland, and I kind of appreciate this gap that's happened between the first one and the second one. I don't know. You might have different thoughts on that, being like, oh well, it's 10 years later. They're just coming back for a money grab. But this was a movie that everyone really wanted a sequel to initially, and it just kind of fizzled out. And now they're bringing it back. They have the Deadpool writers, which, depending on which Deadpool it was, is either going to be really good or pretty okay, I guess. And I just,
That's probably an apt description.
I don't know. I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. I'm not so sure I like the addition of like what seems to be so many other cast members. I think I'd like it more if it just centered around the four of them with some other conflict rather than introducing. And then also it kind of looks like they find like a lot of survivors at one point too. They're in like a fair or something, and it seems like there's a lot of like background characters. So I'm not sure I'm gonna like the addition of all that, but I think it'll be good.
See, I disagree with your take on the sense that you don't know you don't like the idea of them adding background characters, because I think if they didn't add more characters, then it's essentially just rehashing the first one with, but the characters are more familiar with each other, so they don't have to build any relationship. They just already have one, and so there's nothing really important. Like I don't know what else they would do if they don't encounter more.
Well, yeah, I mean, they'd have to add obviously some characters that it's going to stir up some kind of conflict. But I mean, I don't know
Yes.
if I like and maybe they're not going to like expand the group, but I would be absolutely okay with just seeing, the continuing adventures of like the Zombieland 4 or whatever you want to call them, in like just survival and like fighting their next, like it doesn't even have to be like a huge arc, just like some inconvenience or like some issue that they have to get over.
Yeah, I think that what they are doing here, where they end up finding a settlement, that's what it looks like, at least, is that they're
Yeah.
going to find a settlement, and that's, I think that actually most of the actual trailer scenes are probably going to be from like the first 20 or 30 minutes of the movie, because they're going to be like at the White House, I think it is, and they're just going to stumble upon that blonde chick, and then Luke Wilson's character and that dweeb guy from Silicon Valley are going to be like out looking for her, and then they take all of them back to the settlement.
And that's where Abigail Breslin with Hippie Man would have already headed. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I hope that's right, because that leaves a whole lot of story then still to be told.
Yes, that's how I'm looking at it. So I'm optimistic. I don't think that there's really much else to do after that, though. Although I do agree that it would be more interesting if they basically end up fucking up the entire settlement and then just leaving off on their own by the four of them. I think that the chemistry that they had in the first one was excellent.
Yeah.
And I think they all play their characters so well that I'm looking forward to it again. I just hope they don't mail in these performances so that it turns into a money grab. Because you're right, there was a lot of hope for this to release a follow-up back a decade ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think that these actors have enough, I don't know, I guess integrity, that they're not just gonna to mail this one in, because like if they were gonna try to do a money grab, it would have happened sooner, maybe. Now that I say that, I'm not sure I agree with it, but
It's not like they did a Men in Black money grab this year. Oh wait,
they did.
that's a thing that happened.
But I don't know. I mean, you got all the original cast returning, plus like some pretty, I mean, fairly big names in addition. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I trust these actors more in that scenario. You know what I mean? Because Men in
Well,
Black
they
this year
are
was
all
like
very good
it
actors.
was like Thor and somebody, right? That or one of the Hemsworths were the new Men in Black.
I think it was Liam
Oh,
Hemsworth.
is it Liam? All right, well it's baby Thor.
No, it's Gale from the Hunger Games series.
Sure. I just called him baby Thor because he's the little. Is he the little brother?
I believe so.
Yeah. But yeah, when you have like the original cast returning and then also some other names signing on, that makes me more optimistic that it's gonna be a quality movie. And the writing, the writers from Deadpool, like Deadpool 1 had some of the best writing. I mean,
It
it was
was
phenomenal. It was a
so
great movie.
funny.
Yeah. And then Deadpool 2 came out and it was fine. It just felt so different.
It felt more forced, was the
Yeah,
concern.
and like
It didn't feel as organically done. It felt kind of rushed.
yeah.
And apparently there's some sort of like Christmas Deadpool movie that came out too. A very Deadpool Christmas.
Yeah, I think that's just Deadpool 2, but with like different scenes and like not the like gore, maybe. I don't remember. I looked into it at the time, and it's not that different than the regular.
Oh,
I
okay.
I could be totally wrong about that, but I'm like 80% sure that's what that was.
I might have to Google that after we're done here.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for it. So yeah, we'll see where this one lands, and we can't really predict too much about the plot because I didn't think about it before you said it, but I think I do agree with you now that we probably haven't seen, 4/5 of it.
Yeah, my main concern is that I am going to absolutely fucking hate that new blonde chick that they added in.
I think that's probably a fair concern.
And then they're going to break out the like jealousy sort of interactions that take place between Emma Stone and Jesse Eisenberg, and it's just
Yeah.
going to irritate me the whole movie is my biggest concern.
Yeah, hopefully that's not a long plot line, like a long subplot, but who knows? Because I do agree. I think that would be kind of annoying and very not super in character for either of them.
Yeah,
Um, but we'll see.
guess we'll see.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
So,
you take it.
now
Take it away.
on to Jojo Rabbit. What would you like to say about this one, Connor?
So, like I said before, well, this was before we started recording. I told you this, but I don't have a whole lot to say about a lot of these, and this one especially. And that's not a bad thing here, though. I loved this trailer. I am super excited for the movie. I probably won't go see it in theaters, but on it, I'm considering it. So that's a pretty big notch right there. Like that's a huge step that I could consider to go see a movie in theaters. Um, I love Fox Searchlight. I'd say probably like 8 out of my top 10 movies came through there. So I love that studio. Um, and this movie just seems the right amount of like whimsical satire with like a compelling, heartfelt story. It's right up my alley.
Oh yeah, I think this is going to be like a sneaky very good movie. I absolutely love that sort of the equivalent of the devil angel on his shoulder sort of thing, his imaginary friend is a fictionalized version of Hitler that he's
Yeah.
talking to. For those that haven't heard of Jojo Rabbit, it is a story of a like 12-year-old boy in the
Yeah,
Nazi
maybe
youth.
more around, yeah, 10 to 12 probably, yeah.
Yeah, in the Nazi youth, that's satirizing the experience of the Germans, and he finds a Jewish girl hiding in the house. The other kid that's with him, I think, just I don't even know who it is. I don't. The only actor or actress I recognize in this is Scarlett Johansson as the
Sam
mother.
Rockwell's in it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Sam
And
Rockwell.
the girl from Pitch Perfect, I don't remember her name.
Anna Kendrick?
No, the
Rebel
Rebel
Wilson.
Wilson,
Oh,
yeah.
Rebel Wilson is in this. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Sam Rockwell is my favorite actor.
Oh, he's definitely up there. He's in my top five.
Yeah, so I mean, just his involvement in this, he doesn't look like he has a huge part to play. Like maybe it's just that I don't know how long that like camp or whatever it is lasts, but it hit my interest there, and then just the story took it from there. Well, you were in the middle of saying something. I'm sorry.
No, it's pretty much I think I pretty much summarized what the plot of the movie appears to be. I think
Yeah.
that there's a lot of potential for it. The writing, obviously, it's just based on the trailer. The writing seems to be amusing. Anyone that satirizes any chance to satirize the Nazis is always a lot of potential there because there's plenty of very controversial humor that can be made, and there's plenty of people that will probably be upset about it. But I think that
Yeah.
it sort of will do. It seems like it will relay the messages effectively. It looks like it's basically designed to make Nazis look like fools, which is a reasonable approach to take.
To
And
Nazism, yeah, that's fair.
yeah,
Which you called this one a sneaky one earlier, and I think that is definitely because this comes out next weekend, right?
yeah,
So that's a very apt way to describe it. Because if you remember back in 2016, a game called Wolfenstein: The New Colossus came out, and that's been like I don't know, I don't want to, maybe like a 20-year video game saga of like
yeah.
blast all the Nazis and like very anti-Nazi. And back in 2016, that was a big deal. Like people protested, well maybe not protested it, but a lot of people like showed opposition to it because they were like being mean to Nazis. And either this is very, it's quiet, it's coming in. I mean, Searchlight doesn't do a whole lot of big picture things. I mean, the last huge thing I think they did was The Shape of Water, which I heard was kind of shit, but it made a lot of waves. No pun intended.
I mean, it did win the Oscar
Yeah,
for
well,
Best Picture, so yes, I would say that
yeah.
it did make a lot of waves.
Or this is just satire at a level that like people aren't getting pissed at it because it's not as like overtly violent slash aggressive towards Nazis. But I thought that was an interesting thing that this movie is about to slip out next weekend. I've heard nothing in opposition to it, whereas people got mad before, where it's like a 20-year video game came out with a new edition that was like you shot Nazis, and people were like that's unfair or whatever.
I don't think I've seen that criticism before. I remember there being some sort of thing about like Wolfenstein when it came out, but that doesn't sound like the sort of controversy that would come up about shooting Nazis. I think what may have happened was the idea that you may be given control of a Nazi team in multiplayer mode, and so like you're forced to be a Nazi and playing multiplayer.
I don't think there is a multiplayer. I mean, like I've played through the game. I own it. It's one of my favorite games. I
I
don't
must
think
be
there is a
thinking of a different
multiplayer.
game though, but I have seen a think piece saying that it was that they were upset that they played like it may have been like a
Could be
Battlefield or a
Call of
Call of
Duty,
Duty
yeah.
where they were upset that they were forced to play on the Nazi team.
Oh, well, that's just fucking stupid because those games are like
Yes, it
actually
is.
sort of historically accurate.
Well, I mean, it's more about the point that it doesn't make any fucking
Well,
difference.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like they're accurate to the point of like want like one side has to be the Nazis if you're gonna
Yes.
play multi. Like, yeah, get over it at that point. But anyway, back to Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, so this I think that one of the main reasons why people aren't really talking about it much is because there was so much attention paid to the Joker movie that a lot of people were kind of their focus was shifted there.
I'm very caught up
And
on that. Yeah.
I am certain that there will be at least one think piece that comes out about this movie that says, why did they make a Nazi youth a sympathetic character?
Oh, absolutely. There's no way. There's no. There, I'll put it. I'll say there's gonna be like 50.
Well, at that point, it depends on how in depth are we going for these think pieces? Because I was thinking like in an actual
Oh, if you want
professional,
like a real think piece, yeah, okay, there'll be at
like
least one.
Slate, like I mean actual news, like the Washington Post or
Yeah,
New York
okay.
Times.
So like
sort of
every
think piece.
2 cent website is gonna put out something that's like, can you believe this Nazi propaganda movie? And because that'll get the clicks, and that's what it's all about. But yeah, I think it's gonna be really good. I'm excited for it. I will absolutely see this at some point. Maybe in theaters, but definitely not next weekend, probably.
Oh, without question. I don't think anyone expects you to do that.
Well, it wouldn't be true to the podcast, you know. I don't do anything, and that's how it's
Yeah,
gonna stay.
yeah. It goes back to the way we started this conversation today.
Minimal
So,
effort.
yep. So, since it
Yes.
is the month of October, you said that you wanted to introduce a new segment where we talk about some of the lesser known horror movies that we've seen or that
Uh,
you've seen.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we can call this Connor's Spooky Corner or whatever we want to call it. But just real quick, we don't have a whole lot of time left. I was going to talk about a few horror movies that I've watched just this past week, and we got a theme here because they're both sequels of kind of big name horror movies. But I never would have thought to watch them, but I just kind of did because it's October, whatever. So the first one is we're going to talk about The Woman in Black 2. Do you remember the original Woman in Black?
Is that the one with Daniel Radcliffe?
Yeah, aka Harry Potter and the Woman in Black.
Uh huh.
Yeah, so the Woman in Black 2 takes place. Well, I'm not going to do too much on the plot. I'll just tell you my general thoughts about it. But it's kind of like a World War II piece where like a bunch of kids who have to evacuate the city because they're afraid of like German bombings and they're trying to get as many people out. They go to like the school that the only place that they can like find to shelter all the children is in the same like spooky house. It's called Eel Marsh House or something from the first one.
Yeah,
And
wasn't this supposed to be like an origin story for the Woman in Black?
now it takes place afterwards because the first
Daniel
one's like
Radcliffe. Oh yeah, I
yeah, the
forgot.
first one's
That's my
early
bad.
1900s, and he like dies at the end of the first one. Spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
yeah. No, I
um,
forgot about that.
so this one, I mean, it's pretty much what you'd expect out of a sequel where like there's nothing, uh, no returning cast, nothing like that. It's just the it's in it for the scares, and the biggest problem I had with it is so in the first one you discover the lore of whoever Bennett, like the Woman in Black, and like what happened to her, why she's doing what she's doing, and that's kind of like a drawn out thing over the course of the story as you'd expect of a horror film. And then in this one they just kind of do the same thing over again. So it's new to the characters, but as you, the audience, are watching it, you're like, yeah, I know. Like, this is why she does what she's doing. Why is this a big deal? And honestly, it got to the point, I was watching it while Kate was at work, and she came home. There were 10 minutes left. It was like the climax of the movie, and I just threw her the remote. I was like, you can change it. I don't even care anymore. So that one gets a big old thumbs down from me. Yeah, and that's that's all I have to say about that. The second thing that I want to talk about, though, and all right, I can do it. I want to talk about A Haunting in Connecticut 2.
There's a second one.
There is a second one. It stars, oh shit, the girl from Mad Men. I think she's
Elizabeth
from Mad
Moss.
Men. No, next,
January Jones.
next.
Uh,
Maybe she's not
fuck.
from Mad Men. Uh, oh no, okay, I'll think of it while we're going. But so you remember the first Haunting in Connecticut?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I genuinely thought that was a good horror movie. Like it had a good story, it had sort of a twist at the end. It was a good encompassing horror story back when, and this was made back when horror stories were like, this is a true story, believe in it or you'll die or whatever. Like it was before like Insidious and The Conjuring and kind of these horror stories that didn't take themselves too seriously came out. So it was a refreshing horror movie back in the day. And I gotta say, so this one has a lot of very cheesy effects and scares. I think it was maybe a little bit more low budget. But the story overall, it's right on par with the first one. Maybe even a little better if they would have had like some of the scares toned back. It's it's concerning like a family. Well, okay, actually, here's my biggest problem with it. It takes place in Georgia.
Um,
Yeah. It's a
now
haunting.
I don't want to be that guy. But can I get my money back for false advertising when you call this movie Haunting in Connecticut 2
Yeah,
and it's in fucking Georgia?
it's a haunting in Connecticut too. Subtitle: Ghosts of Georgia. Which Kate and I had a big long debate on like how the fuck that happened. Like, was it the same studio, and I think we found out it was the same producers, and they were just kind of rolling with their first one. But they move into like what was an old underground railroad safe house, and the story involves the station master there, and like the I guess like the slaves on the. I don't know, it's a good story. I don't really want to spoil it in case anyone actually wants to watch it, but it's got the same like solid story and solid kind of twists. The only problem is like very very cheesy scares. And
Yeah,
oh no, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say I was never a big fan of like those hauntings or like the possession of movies or the exorcism of like the exorcism of Emily Rose. Those were always just like they were never really my style.
Yeah.
The only one that I've really enjoyed is I thought that the original Conjuring was very good.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite of like the haunting genre. But just generally speaking, it's just not my style because the supernatural, it's just so much harder for me to sort of get into.
And it's also really hard to find well done ones. Cause
That's sort of the problem is that
yeah,
there was a time where I think for like a 10-year period, it felt like every single horror movie was one of those, and it just every
yeah.
time just ugh.
And that's what
Up
I was talking
until
about earlier, that they were like, oh, this is a true story. Like, this actually happened to, like, Margaret Dilward, or, that's a fake name. But you know what I mean? Like, they're like,
yeah.
they didn't try to be a movie, too. They just tried to be spooky as shit. And
Yeah.
it just kind of fell
I will
flat.
say that I think that Paranormal Activity was one of the most overrated movies of all time.
That's another hill I will die on, and I agree with you. I hate that movie. I hate the found footage shit. Blair Witch was okay, but then we go to Paranormal Activity where it's like a door creaked a little bit, and everyone's like, ah, like fuck out of here. I don't want to. I don't want to see
It
your.
was a 90-minute movie that was somehow too long.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
No, I
Like there was
absolutely agree with that.
legitimately for the first 30 minutes nothing of note happens. There is
Yeah.
nothing interesting that happens in that movie for the
I,
first 30 minutes.
I'd go as far to say as the first like 60 to 70 minutes. I don't think they're
Like no,
actually.
I think after like 40 minutes like more noteworthy things start happening, like doors start opening, the
And
Ouija
like
board catches on
chandeliers start
fire.
swinging. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of stuff starts happening. So like there's something going on. But also the fact that the spoiler alert for Paranormal Activity if you're one of the two people that never saw it. The fact that she just comes out it's like, "Oh yeah, no, I was like possessed by a demon when I was younger." And that's just like something that never came up. I'm sorry, that's sort of noteworthy if you're going to get married to someone.
That's at least a very fun icebreaker. Oh, but anyway, yeah, that was my spooky corner. Uh, Tune in
Uh,
next week, and I'll watch some other shitty horror movies and let you know.
Have you heard of the movie Terrifier?
Yeah, it's like a clown type dude.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, but I
Oh,
haven't
really?
actually seen it. Yeah.
It's on I pass it. It's on Netflix or Hulu or something. I pass it a lot, and I've read the description at least 3 times this month, and been like, maybe one day. But okay, I'll make a point to watch
I've
that this
heard it's
week.
a legitimately scary movie.
Like an actually good movie.
Yeah.
All right, I'll let you know next week. And
Okay.
and this
Keep me
won't be like
posted.
that one time I talked about that creepy pasta and then never followed up on it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it will. Who knows?
Wasn't that just last week?
It was 2 weeks ago.
And we're just never gonna find out what happened.
Maybe
Um,
maybe one day.
maybe next year and Connor's spooky corner. One other thing I wanted to add to that just Another movie I think of in that sort of like haunting realm that I actually enjoyed, but I don't think a lot of other people did, was I liked that movie with Ethan Hawke, Sinister.
Yeah, I really like Sinister, Insidious, and The Conjuring. I really liked those three.
And then I didn't much care for their sequels.
I agree with that. Well, I've seen Sinister 2, I've seen Insidious 2, and I haven't seen The Conjuring 2 yet.
Conjuring 2 I think is the best of those, but I wasn't big on it. The Insidious 2 was definitely worth watching because it actually carried the story over and it gave sort of closure to what you had just seen.
Yeah.
So that was nice. But I definitely thought that the first one was significantly better.
No, I agree. I think it's just because they found kind of unique stories to tell,
Yes.
and they did it well. But then
Yes.
anything after that, just it's the classic sequel conundrum. It's just never gonna live up to the first one.
Definitely. So, is there anything else we want to add before we give a summary of today's discussion?
No, I don't think so. I think
Okay,
that's it.
so just to run through our reactions to these movies and trailers, the Addams Family was trailer trash, and that is
Ooh.
confirmed. Uh, I would probably give it like maybe 1 star. It might maybe 1.5 stars. It just wasn't a good movie. Maleficent looks like it could be good, but I'm personally putting it in trailer trash as of now. I'm not sure if you disagree with that.
I mean, yeah, I think it's a sequel that doesn't need to happen, and I'll never see it though, so I can't comment too much. But yeah, I'd agree. It's probably not going to be great.
Then we can get a little more positive with a sequel that we're excited is happening with
Yep.
Zombieland Double Tap. Say that's ready for the red carpet, and then Jojo Rabbit. Looks like a sneaky, very good movie, and it looks like it's ready for the red carpet as well. And if you'd like, you can give your ratings on the 2 horror movies you watched, or you can
Oh my
just say
God, I get to
no.
rate things.
Yes, you
Whew.
do.
Um, Honestly, I'd say they're probably both trailer trash. With Haunting in Connecticut 2 just barely not making it in too ready for the red carpet. And granted, these are horror movies, so like it's a little different scale.
It's graded on a curve.
Yeah, yeah. So don't expect anything great. But definitely like if you're looking for a good horror movie to watch that's tolerable, has a solid storyline, and like okay, plot points slash spooks, definitely Conjuring 2. I'd hesitantly recommend it.
I'm sorry, The Conjuring 2?
No, what did I? Oh, Haunting in Connecticut 2.
Yeah, no, you literally just said that you'd never seen The Conjuring
Definitely,
2.
definitely Haunting in Connecticut 2. I'd hesitantly recommend that.
Okay. So,
And yeah, that's the show. This has been Red Carpet to Trailer Trash. Ian Collins is the creator and the host. He sees the movies. He really he does all the dirty work. Actually, I lied. I do all the dirty work. My name's Connor Rock, and I'm the editor. That's the dirty work. We're gonna cut. All right. Yeah, so that's the show. This has been Red Carpet. Damn it! Hold on. I can do it. I can do. This is probably all just gonna make it in.
please do.
Oh, this is Red Carpet Trailer Trash. Ian Collins sees movies and he says some things that are correct and good and smart and thought through. I'm Connor Rock and I stumble through the outro and watch trailers on YouTube. Until next time.
Until next time?